I have definitely benefited a lot from the MGP Plus program. Sir, I've read all of your articles, not just one. I've read all of the articles, and I would always wonder who's this person. Like if I would raise a ticket in the morning, I would get a response within an hour or two. And if I would ask them to call me, they would I was the one who would be like, okay, please don't call me at this time. Please don't call me at this time.
So a very warm welcome to you. It's great to secured rank 120 in the Civil Services Examination. In this Tête-à-Tête with toppers, I welcome you, and can you begin by introducing yourself to us, including your family background and education?
So my name is Tanushree Meena. I've done my schooling from Maharaja Savai Mansingh Vidyalaya in Jaipur. Thereafter, I did my BA Honours in History from Miranda House, University of Delhi, after which I did my post-graduation in Modern History from Jawaharlal Nehru University in New Delhi. Thereafter, I've been preparing for civil services.
So who else is there in your family?
So I have my father, my mother. I have a younger sister who's doing her MBBS, and I have twin brothers.
Twin brothers. Wonderful. So are they also preparing for civil services now?
No, not yet. Now they have been pressurized, but they've decided not yet.
What drove you to prepare for civil services? What was the motivation for you?
So I would say for the motivation, there was a source of inspiration from my mother specifically. She always wanted me to be financially independent, and she would always motivate me and my sister that you have to do something in your life. You have to stand on your own 2 feet and be financially independent. So when I grew up, I came to know about so many other exams and everything, but I thought that for my caliber and of my interest, civil services is a very diverse experience field which could give me a lot of opportunities, and I thought that this is something which I would really like to do, and the work profiles which I saw of the officers encouraged me to join civil services.
All right, so you passed out from Miranda House.
Yes.
So Delhi University this year has wonderful results, including a couple of top ranks.
Yes.
Were you good at academics in Miranda House as well, or did you start studying after graduation?
So I've always been good at academics right from the school times. Even in Miranda, I was one of the best students of the class. Other than that, I was also a part of the Dramatic Society of Miranda House, History Society. So it was a combination of both extracurricular and academics.
Coming to civil services aspirants always start the preparation with a simple, humble newspaper. So my question to you is, did you read newspaper regularly, and if so, which one?
So I read newspaper every day. Even when I was taking a break, the days when you are just not feeling it, I would read a newspaper. So I would read The Hindu throughout my preparation. During the interview phase, I also started reading the Indian Express.
So how much time did you give to the newspaper, given that some students, they spend 2 to 3 hours reading the newspaper in the beginning?
So I would finish it in 1 hour or 1.5 hours at max, not more than that.
How did you come to know about Forum IAS?
So for the forum thing, I would say that from the past year toppers, especially because I was a history student, so I would always look up to the suggestions by history optional students. So Chandrajyoti Singh ma'am last year, who secured rank 28, was from Forum IAS, and she had enrolled in the MGP Plus program. So from her, I got to know about Forum IAS, and then I also saw many other toppers, their testimonials, and I was like, okay, this is a good institute and I should definitely enroll here.
All right, so these days what happens is that most of the students community, they think that these are not real students of Forum. So did you not ever have a doubt, that this may be, these days students think that the testimonials are not real, or students are not real and they're just coming to the academy or something. So did you not have those doubts, or what was it like?
So I did not have those doubts because specifically the testimonials were handwritten and there were not similar testimonials by the same students in other institutions. So I was quite sure that if they are saying this and writing it, and if they are writing something wrong, their credibility will also be in doubt. So I trusted the other students. Right?
So you were part of MGP General Studies as well as essay. So here we try to provide you a good test paper, a good content and good evaluation and good mentorship. So briefly, can you tell us if you were benefited from it and what was your overall experience?
So I would say that I have definitely benefited a lot from the MGP Plus program. For the essay scores, I would like not just the essay scores, but the overall writing of essays. Like I would always feel that I'm good at writing GS essays, which are very general studies based. But for the philosophical essays, I was not a very good student and I would always score less. Even in the essay test series, I had written around 8 essay tests, so which makes it 16 tests. So I would always score good in the technical aspects of the essay, but in the philosophical ones, I did not score well. And in the final exam, both the essays were very philosophical and I was like, oh, thank God, the test series has paid off.
Did you ever receive, because you were an online student, right? And this was a COVID year. Yes. We have locked down twice during your preparation. So did you ever interact with a mentor?
Yes, sir. So I interacted with many mentors. Like there were often times when I would be very anxious that, oh, okay, my preparation is not going well. I've even had COVID in May right before the prelims and then the prelims got postponed. So I talked with one of the mentors. She was a lady mentor, but she encouraged me that, okay, don't worry about the time which has already gone by, start preparing now. And that really motivated me and encouraged me to continue my preparation. And I could really start my preparation all over again from July itself. And I think that was one of the main reasons I could like clear prelims and come till here.
What was your broad strategy for the prelims examination, given that it is becoming tougher day by day, both the general studies as well as the CSAT paper? So what was your broad strategy?
So I would say that I've not cleared prelims in the last 4 times. This was the first time I cleared prelims, first time I wrote mains and first time I wrote interview. So my strategy was that once I clear prelims, I'm going to like crack it in the mains and interview. For prelims specifically, I studied both GS as well as CSAT equally. Like I devoted equal time to both the subjects. I did not take up CSAT lightly because I've already failed it in twice earlier. So I was like very skeptical. Okay, no, now I have to study CSAT. So I took up every topic. I would look up to videos online and try and study from them. Then I would give test series. And for GS also, I think for GS I had given around 70 tests. And for CSAT as well, I had given around 20 tests. So it was all like you have to give mocks and mocks, keep giving mocks and revise.
In prelims, while attempting the paper, what was your strategy? Did you go for multiple iterations or you solved them serially or you solved them at random? And when did you start bubbling your paper? How was it like?
So I would start my paper serially. Then after the first iteration, I would bubble them up. Then again, I would go through the paper once again for the second time. I would bubble the remaining questions in which I was 50-50. Like I've eliminated 2 options and the 2 options are remaining. And for the last one, I would go with if I will eliminated 1 option and if I can like attempt more questions. So I was very clear that I have to attempt a significant number of questions, not too much, but not too less as well, so that I just clear the cutoff, because that is the main aim of prelims. Even for CSAT as well, I just attempted 46 questions. And like many people said that you have attempted very less questions, you should have attempted more. But I was very clear that the questions that I've attempted, I'm 100% sure about them. So I'm not going to attempt more questions just for the sake of it.
You have written 4 attempts, yes, right? And in the 4th one, you wrote the first mains. Fifth attempt and first mains, first interview and a rank. Yes. Wonderful. So now looking back, because we always are able to, understand what mistakes you made. What mistakes did you make in your prelims that it took you this long?
So I would say that mistake, like I was always prepared, but there was something missing. Like for the last 2 times, CSAT I couldn't clear. Like I have been a science student till 12th standard and I was good at maths and English and everything. But the thing was that I was a little underconfident during the paper. The mindset was not right. I would say that in this attempt, my mindset was very confident. I was very calm and composed throughout the paper. Otherwise, in the earlier attempts, I would get very anxious during the paper and I would start thinking 100 things and I would start overthinking on the options, and that significantly resulted in my failure in the prelims in the earlier attempts.
Prelims, how soon do you think that if somebody who is not clear the prelims, how soon do you think they should start studying? I mean, prelims is here this year. At Forum, we see that students generally come and they say that I've given 2 months to the prelims. We as mentors suggest you take a good time. What do you think that when should dedicated studies for prelims begin?
I knew that prelims was definitely a tougher stage for me, but at the same time, I also knew that mains is going to be the deciding factor. So I was very clear that even if I had not cleared prelims for 4 times, I would only devote 3 months to the prelims, and the rest of the time I would only prepare for mains. So for the last 4 years, even when I was not clearing prelims, I was regularly preparing my mains. I was writing answers, I was doing everything. So I would start my preparation for prelims only 3 months before it.
Coming to the mains examination, general studies paper 1, how did you score, and what strategy do you have for general studies paper 1?
So in JS paper 1, I've scored 112 marks. So my strategy was very, first of the main things was you have to complete the paper. You have to write every answer and you have to you have to address every part of the question. Other than that, you have to, I made around 8 to 10 diagrams in the paper, which I think significantly contributed to me getting good marks in the paper. So I would make maps, even in the Bhakti question which was there. I made a map and I wrote all the Bhakti saints which were there from various parts of India. For different questions, I would do the same thing. For geography questions, a map is a must if it is related to world geography.
Wonderful. General studies paper 2, what was your approach?
So for GS paper 2, I've got 134 marks. I thought that I'm not really good at GS 2, but I think that the test series really helped me here because I was very consistent in giving all the tests and I prepared all the topics which were there in the test series thereafter as well very thoroughly. I remembered all the facts. I'd made very specific notes. So I had notes for 1 month, then I had notes for 1 week, and then I had notes for on the day of the exam or 2 days before the exam. So every time you read the subject, your notes keep on getting shorter and shorter. So by the day of the exam, you just have a 2-page note. So it had very specific facts, case studies, cases, names, etc., which I would mention in the exam. So I was very sure that these are the things which are going to fetch me marks. Everybody is going to write the same stuff, the same points. What is going to make a difference is how clear are you in your answer? And are you addressing the point very specifically? So I knew that I have to be to the point and I have to catch the examiner's attention.
General studies paper 3 is a little on the trickier side and sometimes difficult to score as well. How did you do in GS paper 3 and what strategy did you follow here?
So I've scored less in GS paper 3 comparatively. I've just scored 91 marks, even though I was expecting a lot lesser because in the science questions, I completely went okay, these are some things which I've not even heard of. So those questions, even though I did not know, I attempted all the questions. I did not leave any question. In the questions I did not know, I wrote around 1 or 1.5 page. So definitely there was this thing that you do not have knowledge, but because you've been preparing for so long, you would know something or the other. So for the blue light question which was there, I knew that okay, it is related to something this. So I wrote something. So for all the questions, I did write something. I did not leave any question blank.
General studies paper 4, how did you approach the subject in terms of preparation and in terms of the paper?
So for GS paper 4, I've scored 112 marks. I had also downloaded Ayush Sir's note, who was also a part of ForumIAS. So from his test series also I learned a lot. So then I was very specific, okay. So I included his notes in my notes. I learned those, revised those notes again and again. And I would mention constitutional articles, DPSPs in the case studies or even specific cases. And then I would mention the qualities which are there. The ethics paper is basically how many examples you quote, how many civil servants and other specific examples you quote. So I think that made a lot of difference.
How did you perform in essay and what was your strategy for it?
So in essay, I got 125 marks. I had no strategy per se for essay. I was very specific. Okay, I'm going to give the tests which are there. So I gave 8 tests, which had around 16 essays in total. So every time I would give the test, I would get back my checked answer sheet and I would schedule a mentorship call. I would discuss my essay with my mentors, where I could have improved my scores, what are some of the things which I can work on. And then significantly, I improved in every test. In every test, my score improved. And in every test, I knew that, okay, these are the significant things which I have to work on. So philosophical essays was also the same thing.
What was your approach for history optional, given that right now we have a lot of students who are thinking of taking history optional and are a little afraid. Also, existing students, they're finding it difficult to score well in history optional.
I've scored around 253 marks in history optional because I have a history background in both graduation and post-graduation. So I was very comfortable with the subject and I had a lot of basic knowledge about the subject, even if it was not there in my notes. So I would say that definitely every optional is going to be tough, but your interest has to matter a lot because history is something which I'm very comfortable with. It is just very second nature to me. I really love studying history and love reading history books. So I could never think of any other optional. And history, if you are studying it very rightly with the right approach, other than the basic coaching material which is available in the market, you have to bring in your own touch to your optional because everybody is writing the same stuff, everybody is reading the same books. So you have to definitely make an effort in improving your score in history.
Coming to the interview, which board did you get and how was your experience?
So I got Bharat Bhushan Vyas Sir's board and my interview experience was really good. I would say that I've scored around 151 marks, which is like lesser in comparison to the other students. But at the same time, I felt that because it was my first interview and the first time I was facing any kind of interview, but in the board itself, I was very comfortable. They were always smiling and like they were giving me suggestions and everything. So that it was a very positive atmosphere. So I tried to do my best and rest. The result is here.
So what was your approach for the interview? Like, did you take too many mocks or you took restricted mocks or how was it like?
So I took very restricted mocks because I knew that the more the number of mocks I'm going to take, it is going to put me in more pressure because every mock has a different view of your personality and they are very quick to judge. So I knew that I have to be comfortable in my own skin. So I just took 6 mocks, I would say. And thereafter, and that I did almost 20 days before the interview. So for 20 days, I was just preparing by myself. I would think a lot. I would read newspapers, watch news clips and videos online. And then I was developing my analytical skills and developing my DAF, I was studying my DAF in real detail and all of the informational aspect. But what happened was I was developing an opinion-based personality, but my interview was very factual. There were a lot of technical questions which were very specific. So if you know, you know, otherwise you have to just say that I don't know, sir.
What was the most difficult question or most a question that you were completely taken by surprise?
So I would say that the chairman, sir, Vyas sir, asked me this question, do you know about eyes in the sky? So I did not know, I had no idea. And then he said that it has to do something with looking up from the sky. So I thought that it is related with something regarding surveillance from satellite, regarding defense or something. So he gave me the liberty to guess the answer, which was of course wrong because I was thinking in a very different direction. But when I went back and I read about the topic, it is about hot air balloons.
So people say that honesty is very important in the personality test. What is your take on it?
So it is definitely very important. I knew that if I'm not going to be honest, the board is going to catch me. They are very well experienced, very well knowledged. They are very knowledge people who have a lot of experience in their life and profile. So you cannot lie or bluff in front of them. You have to be at your humblest self and you have to be very honest. If you do not know something, just tell it to them and they'll just move on to the next question. They do not care. They do not judge you. They are there to interview and select you. They are not there to reject you. So if you present yourself really well, they're definitely going to select you.
So coming to the last part of this session. So when we start our preparation, and because your preparation was a long drawn exercise, you begin with a certain pen, then we kind of fall in love with a pen. This pen, we have to write the exam. It almost becomes a soulmate until we discover a new pen. So how was your pen journey like? Did you start with the same pen when you started or did you change during the prelims, mains and the interview? How was it like?
So I've used a same pen since my 9th standard, Trimax.
Trimax,
yeah.
Wonderful. So what do you think worked for it? I mean, this may sound silly to a lot of people, but you know that your writing appearance and everything, presentation, everything matters. So what was a good thing that you found with the pen?
So it is because I was comfortable in writing with Trimax for a very long time, and I could write in I could write very speedily with it. Like I would see people who would leave long spaces. I have a good handwriting as well. So they would leave a lot of spaces in their answers and then they would blink here and there. So my approach was that once I sit on that table, I'm going to start writing from the very first second and I'm going to leave writing at the last second when the bell rings. So that was like, I answered all the questions. I completed my paper entirely on time. And then with the same pen, I think I've almost finished 20 Trimax refills after the prelims result till my mains exam.
So these days students also make digital notes and some students prefer paper notes. What sort of person are you?
So I'm both. I use digital notes for lengthy subjects, specifically the GS subjects, because you need to keep on updating them. It is very dynamic. For the static portions, I kept written notes, specifically the short notes which I made for my mains. I made them in a classmate notepad, a 90-page notepad which is there. So I would divide the page into half, and then I would specifically put like 4 pages for disaster management, 10 pages for security, and I would write only the specific details which I definitely need to remember before the exam, and I definitely need to write it in the exam.
So you would exclude things that you have internalized. Yes. You said something very important, that as we make further notes, I made notes for the month, then for the week revision and for that day's revision, right? And you said that the notes shrink. So technically, are you suggesting that because we internalize a lot of things, therefore you start to leave them in the notes?
Because it is necessary, you have to reduce the number of pages, because if they are bulky, you will not feel like reading them and you will constantly feel, okay, I have so much to study, I have so much to study. Because I only had one notepad to study, I did not feel the burden of studying it. And the same notepad, I would study it for GS paper 2, GS paper 3, GS paper 4, and for GS paper 1, because there is a significant amount of static portion as well, I had a separate notepad for that, so for history and geography.
All right, so this is something that I would want to tell all our students, is that this is how probably notes should be made, as she said, is like we have to have very minimal notes. The number of pages is also a measure of our confidence. If we have bulky notes, then you are not going to be able to revise it at the last moment. So our notes should be as crisp as possible. Wonderful. So during this journey, Tanushree, what did your day look like?
So I would say that I would wake up, have tea with my parents. Then
what time did you wake up? Like I would want an hourly account. You could say that this was during the prelims and this was during the mains. What was your most difficult days like?
So I would definitely say that the days before prelims were the most difficult ones. I would wake up at 5 o'clock every day and I would sleep at 11 o'clock. So I knew that I have to get a significant amount of sleep. Other than that, my whole day has to be devoted to my studies. I would just only take break for the evening tea, morning tea, and lunch and dinner, and having my bath and doing my daily puja. That's it. Other than that, I would just study throughout the day.
This was for prelims as well as for the mains?
Yes. For mains, I would say that I had put in a lot more hours in comparison to prelims, because in prelims, you have to write your mocks, check them and everything. But for mains, you have to keep on studying and you have to keep on internalizing the knowledge. So the more you are going to read your notes again and again, the more they are going to be internalized. And even if you do not study them at the end day, you would remember them and you could reproduce the knowledge in the paper. So I would keep on studying again and again. If I'm finding it difficult to study from the notes, I would watch some video on YouTube or some detailed. I would listen to the YouTube videos, like I'd put the headphones on 2x and then I would sleep. So constantly the video would keep on playing.
So you also said that you made digital notes. So Evernote or OneNote, what is it? Or is it like MS Word?
Evernote. Yeah.
So what was the reason for choosing Evernote? What few features that you liked about Evernote?
So since last year, Evernote has been updated. So you can there's a scratch pad where you can put immediate data. And then even in Evernote, you can stack so I had few stacks. Okay, prelims, current affairs for prelims, then current affairs for mains, then GS 1, 2, 3. Even in that, I had very specific disaster management, security. For security, like for left-wing extremism, I had so I had very detailed and specific, crisp to the point notes, which was only possible with Evernote.
So with respect to note making, did you use to, let's say you're making the notes from the newspaper, so did you use to just copy paste or did you use to type it there? How was it like?
So first I would copy paste it. Then I would read it again and eliminate all the unnecessary details. Then every time I would revise, I would eliminate the details. So my notes would only get shorter and shorter with the number of revisions that I took.
So Tanushree, you have done a great job. You're expecting Indian Administrative Service? Wonderful. So I write articles as Neon on the forum. Were you able to read anything, and if you remember anything, any good piece of advice that you ever got?
Sir, I've read all of your articles, not just one. I've read all of the articles, and I would always wonder who's this person. So that was one of the main things, and like it was very motivating, especially the articles for prelims, because prelims was my Achilles heel, and I would always feel that okay, once I clear prelims, I'm definitely going to make it, but I need to clear it because prelims is not a test of my knowledge. They do not know that I have the caliber of becoming an IAS officer. So I need to show it to them. I need to show my writing skills. I need to show them that I have very amazing writing skills. For that, I need to clear prelims. So I've read your articles, I think more than once, 2, 3, 4 times. Every time I would read that prelims article where you would say, okay, you have to specifically prepare. Don't worry, don't be anxious, don't be nervous. Confidence is the key. And I would be like, okay, yes, this is going to motivate. Yes, I'm going to do it this year.
All right, one last question. So because of COVID, you have been all throughout an online student of ForumIAS
Yes, sir.
Academy, right? So did you face any difficulties, and overall, did you, because this is the first time you're coming to the Academy,
Yes, sir.
and I understand that you've just come to Delhi with all the baggage and you've just come to Forum. I can see your baggage outside. So did you face any problems with the conduct of the program in the online mode?
No, sir, not at all. I would say it was very smooth, very quick. If I would raise a ticket in the morning, I would get a response within an hour or two. And if I would ask them to call me, they would, I was the one who would be like, okay, please don't call me at this time. Please don't call me at this time. I'm only free from 5 to 7. So they were very accommodative and very responsive. So they would accommodate me according to my free time, even when I was not even a civil servant or something. Like I was just a student, but it was very accommodative and very responsive.
All right, thank you, Tanushree, so much for.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.